April 10, 1912, was the day when the world's largest and most expensive passenger ship, Titanic, was fully prepared for its maiden voyage. That day, the Atlantic Ocean was completely calm, and there was no chance of a sea storm anywhere nearby. Around 1,500 passengers had already boarded the ship, and millions of people were the Titanic, which took 1,200 days to build, sank in just 2 hours. But why did this happen? Standing at the dock to witness the beginning of Titanic's first journey. Neither the passengers nor the people bidding farewell, nor even the crew of Titanic knew that the ship which was about to depart would soon face the worst disaster in history, all because of 6 major mistakes made during its construction and operation. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome. Today you will learn about the 6 mistakes of Titanic, the most expensive, most luxurious, and most technologically advanced ship of its era. If these mistakes had not been made, Titanic might have been famous today, not for its tragic crash, but for its success. What were those 6 mistakes that even Captain Edward Smith, who had 40 years of experience, failed to notice? Not only the captain, but even the White Star Line, the company operating Titanic, which had experience of running 107 ships, overlooked them. Even Harland & Wolff, the company that manufactured Titanic and had already built more than 500 ships before it failed to see these flaws. The construction of Titanic began in 1909. And after nearly 3 years and the hard work of 2,000 workers, the ship was completed. Although the ship was ready, its final testing phase was still pending. The builders' confidence increased when Titanic successfully completed its first test run. After passing the tests, Titanic was marketed worldwide with the headline, "The Unsinkable Titanic." Its maiden voyage was scheduled to begin from Southampton, England, on April 10, 1912, with New York as its destination. Traveling in Titanic's first class cost around $30, which today would be equivalent to approximately 340,000 rupees. Due to aggressive marketing, all tickets were booked very quickly. Finally, the long-awaited day arrived. Mistake number 1, at exactly 12 o'clock noon, Titanic began its first journey. Soon, the first mistake started to reveal itself. Captain Smith had been given a strict deadline by the company to reach New York by April 17th, within just 7 days. Because of this pressure, the captain kept the ship's speed very high from the very beginning. This excessive speed became Titanic's first major mistake. The owners wanted Titanic to reach New York as quickly as possible because it was the ship's maiden voyage. Any delay could have damaged its reputation. Every machine and vehicle has standard operating procedures, including speed limits, but these procedures were ignored right at the start of the journey. Soon, Southampton Port was far behind, and all that could be seen was the vast blue ocean. Mistake number 2. 3 days passed as Titanic continued toward New York. On the evening of April 14, 1912, the ocean was covered in silence and dense fog, reducing visibility significantly. That night, another ship sailing a few hours ahead warned Titanic via wireless messages about floating icebergs. Experts believe that at least 6 such warnings were sent. However, due to negligence by the wireless operators, these extremely important warnings were missed. For them, it seemed like routine information. This became Titanic's second major mistake. Since Titanic was the first luxury ship of its kind and had many VIP passengers on board, most attention was focused on serving first-class passengers rather than operational safety. Had these warnings been taken seriously, the outcome could have been very different. Mistake number 3. Titanic was moving at high speed, and crucial warnings had already been ignored. The ship was now rapidly entering the iceberg zone. Still, the disaster could have been avoided because lookouts were posted to spot icebergs from a distance and alert the captain. But they were missing one critical tool: binoculars. Yes, the lookouts were alert, but without binoculars, they could not spot icebergs from far away. This became Titanic's third mistake. The captain was informed only when the lookout reported that a football field-sized iceberg was directly ahead. By then, it was already too late. Mistake number 4 in the Atlantic Ocean. Ships often encounter icebergs, and large vessels usually handle them without major problems. Captain Smith likely assumed the same. Upon receiving the warning, he ordered the engines to stop and commanded the ship to change direction. Despite his efforts, the distance was too short. The iceberg struck Titanic's side. There was still hope that the ship might survive. Perhaps the iceberg would not damage the hull severely. That might have been so if the fourth mistake had not played its role. Experts believe that the rivets used in Titanic's hull were not made of steel, but of cast iron, which is much weaker. When the iceberg struck, the pressure caused the rivets to snap open, allowing water to rush in. Mistake number 5. After the collision, water began flooding the lower compartments. Although Titanic was designed to stay afloat even if 3 compartments were flooded, the water crossed into the 4th compartment. At this point, the situation was beyond control. Titanic slowly began to sink. Captain Smith sent out emergency distress signals and ordered passengers to be transferred into lifeboats. This is where the 5th mistake became evident. Titanic had space for 32 lifeboats, but due to negligence, only 20 were installed. There were over 1,500 passengers on board, but lifeboats were far fewer. Mistake number 6. Chaos spread everywhere. Everyone wanted to get into the limited lifeboats. At 12:45 a.m., the first lifeboat was lowered into the ocean. However, another tragic mistake occurred. Lifeboats were launched without being filled to capacity. Most seats were given to first-class passengers, meaning the wealthy were prioritized. If the lifeboats had been filled properly, many more lives could have been saved. At 2:18 a.m., due to a short circuit, all lights on Titanic went out. Moments later, the ship broke into 2 pieces and sank completely. Titanic took just 2 hours and 40 minutes to disappear beneath the ocean. Around 1,516 people lost their lives in the freezing waters of the Atlantic. The water temperature was -2 degrees Celsius, meaning survival was nearly impossible. A human cannot survive more than 30 minutes in such extreme cold. It is believed that the death toll was even higher, as many people had boarded the ship without tickets. Most of the survivors were women and children. Captain Edward Smith spent his final moments helping others and was the last person to jump from the sinking ship. We hope you liked and shared this video. Thank you for your love and comments. We will meet again in the next amazing video.